Okay. Well, Marketing Bigly here. Mark Vila here with the Marketing Bigly podcast. And so, what's happening? It's Friday night, and I decided it's a great time for episode 3 because I've really wanted to get a lot of this information just out of my brain and into the podcast because it's a really important episode, if not the most important episode, I suppose, in my opinion, at this point in time. So, do you know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm saying? What I mean by that is when I speak in marketing terminology, or when you're out there and you've got a meeting, you're talking with somebody, you are trying to interview for a job, you have a marketing agency that you're going to work with, you're going to hire for your business, whatever it might be, or you're just reading some things that are in, say, Facebook or Google AdWords while you're setting up advertising. I mean, anything could be happening. And do you know what it's saying? Do you really understand? Do you have a grasp of what is going on? Because if you don't really understand the terminology and you don't sit there and pay attention and actually take some time to learn it all at once, then you can get lost, you can waste money, you can waste time, you can just waste a ton of things. So rather than waste anything, let's not waste any more time and go right into the podcast. Episode 3, Marketing Bigly. Mark Vila here, and do you know what I'm saying? So, if I were to just kind of say this to you, so in my marketing, I was trying to figure out what audiences I should be using. I really want to increase my conversions and actually be able to reach my goals. I have a really focus on my CPC. I've got to focus on my PPC ads and what that budget is. I'm also curious about CPM because I want to know, am I better off going PPC or CPM and display? I'm not really sure, but either way, I really have to look at the analytics, and when I do that, I'll be able to make some determinations. But probably before that, I should go into do some A/B testing. So I'll A/B test a couple different landing pages. I'll A/B test a couple different URLs that go to the same domain and see if that makes a difference. And in those, I'll also do some testings on some social, some trust builders, some social proofs, and things of that nature. And all of that, I really need to make sure that all my APIs are connected because I want everything to work all at once. So I'm going to make connections between all of my marketing software, all of my email marketing, and all of my affiliate marketing to make sure that everything's working well. So if you understood every single thing that I said right there, then awesome. That does not mean you get to skip listening to this podcast because I think it's important to hear everything at once, and I'm going to go pretty quick defining all of these terms. So don't just take my word for it on this stuff. Write this down. If there's one that you find particular that you want to learn more about, then I recommend you write it down. Just do some Google searching, get out there and figure out what it is. So let's go ahead and just start from the top. We did the definition of marketing. I did that in episode 2. So if you didn't listen to that, just go back because I want you to hear what my definition of marketing is. And it's not just mine. I didn't make all this stuff up, but it's everything that I've learned and I've put together. So go back and listen to that. But we're going to start off with a bunch of words and we're going to fire through them. Some of them quick, some of them I'll do some longer explanations for. But either way, I want to start with audience. Because it's one of the most important things, I think, in marketing. People think that when I'm doing marketing for my day job, or they're trying to figure out who they're going to market to, they're not sure who it's going to be. The audience is exactly who you want to target. So the audience could be you could just say it's just women because it's a product that you sell for women. Your audience needs to go further down from that, though. So your audience needs to be defined very well. So it's women, but is it all women, like including from infancy to 99 years old, or is there age range? Okay, is it a specific location? Should they speak English? So there all of these things you want to figure out. Location, age, personal interests, whatever it might be. So when you're talking about an audience is a very defined and very detailed. And I think it's important to get your audience all the way down to as focused as it can be to where it's your perfect customer. And then once you get there, then you start to kind of move in and out who your actual audience is. So that's what I'm going to define as audience. Next, another really important one is conversions. Now, a conversion, when marketers say that word, it's not just a purchase. That might be what you're thinking at first. It's just a conversion means somebody bought something. All right, not necessarily. Your conversion is tied directly to what your goal is. Okay, and we can talk about some different things with that, but everyone has a different goal. If your goal right now is building up your followers, right? You sell exercise equipment or you sell some sort of class, sign up online where people pay, to teach you about diet management, whatever it is. At this point in time, you really might just be building up an audience. So a conversion to you is going to be growth in your following, in your email lists, in your social media. So conversions really just mean that they're reaching a specific goal. It might be buying something. It might be growing your list. It can be a lot of different things, but we want to figure out what the conversion is, and it's not just buying something. Next, I used a word in there. It's goals. So we're talking about marketing that we're talking about similar to conversion. Within your conversion, you might have one that you define as your main conversion, and it's buy something off my website, right? Pay for my live webinar on how to do makeup, whatever it might be. So that's what your goal is. That's what your conversion is. I'm sorry, but within that, you're going to have various goals that you might reach, or you might have that help to determine the success of your marketing. And you might have different pieces of marketing with different goals, all with that conversion in mind, but their goals are different. So you might have a goals of signing up for your email list, goals of increasing your YouTube followers, increasing your Instagram followers, increasing the number of likes on Facebook, increasing the number of interactions on your Facebook posts, number of people who walk into your store, number of people pick up the phone and call you. These are all goals. And you should have goals for all of these things if you're doing modern marketing. If you're marketing bigly, you want to have a goal for all of these things. And I'm in the process, and I'm going to hold myself to it. Then I'm going to create a goal spreadsheet where it's a whole bunch of different goals that you should make for your business, almost no matter what business you have. And then the goal can be 0 on some of them. That's why I say it's almost every single business. But you set a goal across all these boards, and then you try to reach all of those goals in various pieces of marketing. It doesn't mean that it's always paid too, and we'll talk about some of that later. Now there's another one that's the cost per conversion. That's something important to talk about. What does it cost if you're spending money on marketing, if you're advertising, to get a conversion? So if the conversion is buy from your website, what does that cost? Now that's a pretty simple term. I don't really have to define it because it kind of says it within the words, but it's also cost per acquisition is another way to say it. Cost per action is another way to say it. So when we're talking about this, and then all of those can be abbreviated, and then you get into cost per conversion, where I've seen people put CPC for that, which is generally cost per click, which I think you can imagine what that is in advertising, how much it costs for each person that clicks on one of your ads. So all of those are self-explanatory, but how much money does it cost for you to get somebody to convert? If you want them to buy on your website, you're going to have a cost per click, or a cost per action. Maybe the action is they're not clicking on something necessarily, but the action is typing in their email address, somewhere, or whatever it might be, with the end goal, the end conversion being buying from the website. So you're looking at, the cost per click, say that initial click, every time somebody clicks, it's $1, right? But only 10% of those people actually get to the next stage, which is entering their email address, right? Which is your next goal. So now you go from $1 to $10 per email address, right? Well, only 10% of those people that sign up for your email list end up buying something. So now it's $100. We're going by a factor of 10. So it's $100 per conversion, if your conversion is, say, to buy from your website. And one of the goals that you had was for them to sign up for your email list, and that was $10 a piece. And then it was $1 for every click. That might be great for your audience. Some people could look at those numbers and say, oh, I can get your clicks and all that way lower than that, which is why I want you to know these words. is because when you're talking to folks about doing advertising and growing what you're doing, whether they're just giving you advice or you're actually going to pay them to do something, you want to really understand what it is. So you want to understand, well, okay, it's $100 conversion, per conversion, but what's that worth to me? And what kind of audience am I talking about here when I'm talking about how much per click I'm paying? Like you could reduce my cost per click, but is that going to increase my cost per conversion? So there we go. That's kind of a jumble of a bunch of stuff into one. I think it's important to go out and do your own kind of thought research on that and make some of your own notes. But know all of that stuff before you talk to a professional marketer or before you pay for any marketing. I want you to be as much as a pro as you can on that stuff, because I can tell you, you give me a bunch of marketing data and marketers can play around, especially if that's what they sell. They can play around with a bunch of that stuff and make it sound awesome when really they didn't do anything besides mess around with the math, because there's a lot of different ways you can move with those numbers, as you saw I did in just kind of a random thought I put together live here in camp. So the next thing I mentioned is A/B testing, which is probably my favorite thing in marketing, because everything about marketing I think is science and numbers and analytics, which is the next thing we'll talk about here. So you've got to check your analytics. I'll actually do that first. So your analytics is the data that comes in from your marketing. All of those numbers that I said, your CPC, your cost per click, and your cost per acquisition, when we're looking at all of the data, how long are people watching your videos? How many people are taking action? How many people are commenting? How many people are sharing? All of these things. How many people are clicking on your website? How long are they staying? How many of them leave right away? Well, there's a bunch of words we can talk about that are actual terms for that stuff too, but that's what all these analytics are. Everything's in the numbers. If you're going to be really good at marketing, you've got to get comfortable with the numbers. So get comfortable with the words, then get comfortable with the numbers, okay? Once you are really comfortable with the numbers, it's all basic math, then you're going to get the opportunity to start testing different things to try to improve those numbers, okay? So A/B testing, and I kind of sometimes will say, I'm an ABC test something, because I like to go deeper sometimes, but A and B testing means I take two things that are similar, but I'm going to change one thing in them and see if it makes a difference in how my marketing performs. Okay? So you can just think of this simply as if you click on an advertisement, right? Chances are you're being A/B tested at that point in time. If you're not, then you were during another ad. But there are a lot of words. The words might say, a headline on top. They might change. They might be delivering two different headlines to two different groups of people. So as you click an ad, you get one headline that says, learn how to improve your style now. Right? So that's your headline. The person who clicks it next might be delivered a second headline that says style improvement tips. And they want to find out style improvement tips or, learn how to improve your style now, whatever I said, doesn't matter. They want to know which one of those headlines got you to stay on the page longer or got you to click through. So when you're A/B testing, you're testing two different things. And this goes across all marketing. It's email subject lines. It is the color of the page that you're visiting. It is what the button says. Does it say buy now? Does it say shop? Does it say get coupon? Whatever it is, what words are they using down there to get you to click? What image are they using? Is it a woman throwing a baseball, or is it a dog, jumping over a stick? Whatever that would be ridiculous, but still. I'm sure somebody did an ad with a dog jumping over a stick. But anyway, which one of those worked better? There is so much when we're talking about A/B testing, but the point is that you've got two things that you're running, and it could be a paid advertisement, or it could be an email that you're sending out. No matter what it is, it could be a sign that you put up in your store. I mean, A/B testing is the key to being going from good to great in every kind of marketing. So if you've got a store that you run or a restaurant, A/B test something. So that might be changing something, how you word something on your menu, how you write something up on the board for a sale. Is buy one, get one free work better for your customers, or does 50% off work better? So think about all of those things, and what the point of A/B testing that can get dangerous, what I would say would be, I'm going to get a drink. Hold on. The dangerous part of A/B testing is this, is that if you know science, and I've got a background in science, I studied science when I was heavily in high school and in college as well. So I took a lot of advanced science courses. So the scientific method is something that I'm passionate about, and I think that's why it's really important in marketing. What people will do, and I see it all the time when I'm talking to somebody about testing something, is they show me, I'm going to test this email versus this email. I said, okay, cool. I said, they're so different, though, that we have no clue what worked. Was it they changed the subject line, they changed the image, they changed the video, whether it was a video or an image, having changed the action words, the call to action, which is a short thing I'll define right now. It's that button that says buy now or sign up or get coupon. It's the button, submit, which is one of my least favorite call to actions, just as a little side thing. But anyway, when we're talking about that, we really want to make sure that you are testing just one thing, right? So if you have emails, and you got to be patient. This is the hardest part, this is what requires patience in marketing, is if you're sending out an email or you're doing an advertisement, change one thing. So you change just the image, just the subject line, just what the deal is, 50% off versus BOGO. Change one thing and see what that makes a difference. Then try something else. So that's what's, I think, really, really important with doing A/B testing, is so many people, they don't know what actually worked. They know that this email performed this better than this email, or this ad got a much lower cost and more conversions on Facebook than this ad, but they changed so much that they didn't learn anything. They only learned that I can continue to run this ad and make more money, or spend less money, or both, right? But they didn't learn any lesson long-term for their business. They can only assume it was the headline. Oh, well, this one time I put this headline and it worked way better than the other headline. Not considering it was that a woman throwing a baseball was just cooler and sexier and more fun and got more people to stop than a dog jumping over a tiny stick, right? So A/B testing, we talked about analytics. I mentioned API. This is one that you don't have to be a pro on, but you need to know what it means, so you don't, you don't want to sound foolish. You don't want to kind of guess what it means and not understand it, because these are folks who are going to charge you a lot of money who are going to be programming this stuff for you. You're going to say, well, what I want to do is I want to integrate my email list with this other software. And they're going to say, oh, great, we've got this API. It'll bring them together, and they charge $150 an hour to integrate this stuff. You want to know what these guys are talking about, or ladies. So an API, application programming interface, and this is all this is like, and it's as simple as this. It's imagine, let's talk about something like this. If you've got a sophisticated bar, right? Because that's what the internet can be considered, when you're talking about marketing stuff. You've got this sophisticated bar, right? And with it, you've got all your drinks up top. You've got your mixers and your tequila and your rum and your vodka and your cherry juice and orange juice and all that stuff. It's tons of stuff, and you've got all these tubes here that can connect it, or potential tubes that can connect. And you put them all into a spot, and then you've got a little program that when you hit a certain button, it turns on the knobs, and boom, you've got a cocktail mixed, tequila sunrise with a click of a button. So when we talk about an API, just visualing that, it's almost like that. It's the interface. It's all of those connections that go from one program to another program. So your website might be that cocktail, you know, that you want to get in that website. You want to get exactly a little bit of this, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And that might be a customer's email, their first name, their last name. All right, that's just what you're going to want to connect, and then a little bit of marketing data in there as well. You know, how long they stayed watching your video, you know, on this marketing in this marketing campaign you're doing. So what the API does is it's that interface. It's all those tubes that connect it, and you need a developer to connect them all together. So they're going to take one piece of software and another piece of software, and they're going to connect them. They're going to take, you know, booze bottles up here and glasses down here, and they know how to run the tubes. And that's all that is. So when somebody says API, they're basically just saying, I'm going to program this stuff so it sticks together. So it connects, I should say. I'm going to, you know, engineer this so it works together. So it is, if we want to compare it to a bartender, it's the equivalent of making sure that everything is being poured in, everything that you need is being poured into your system. But it's all got to be done in developer language. So it is not too complicated for somebody who's really tech savvy. But if you don't know much about that stuff, or you don't want to spend the time to learn it, you shouldn't. But you should just know those terms. So I would spend some time like just looking up what is an API and understanding some of those terms. So when you are talking to developers and companies that say, "Oh, we have a great API," you might have some questions that you can turn around and ask them. Oh, okay, well, does your API directly interact with this? Do you have a direct connection with this? So anyway, that's enough about that. I think that's an important thing to learn and know, but it doesn't mean that you have to be an expert on it. Just know what you're talking about a bit. So I also mentioned affiliate marketing. This is not something I claim to be a pro on, and gosh, I'll tell you what, if you want to find out about affiliate marketing, there are enough podcasts that talk about that. There's not a lot, I think, that are just as general and down to earth as what I try to do. But affiliate marketing is, and you can sign up to do for this if you have a blogger, you've got a bunch of followers, you've got a really good social media channel. It basically means that you put an advertisement within your world online. You know, if you have a blog or whatever it is, you've got a bunch of Twitter followers, whatever you do, you get a little link that links out to a page where somebody can buy something, right? It might be hair cream, beard oil, whatever it might be. It could be a $10,000 phone case. I mean, they have them for everything. And what that means is when somebody clicks on that link, in your link, there's some special code, and that gives you credit for the sale. When they buy something, you collect a commission. And I'm not going to go into all the numbers on that because I don't claim to be a big expert. But, you know, if you were to make 20% of that sale just from somebody clicking your link. So if you've got a bunch of social media followers, this is a way to basically get some advertising where the advertiser only pays you for when you make a sale. That's affiliate marketing. Look into it. If you've got a lot of followers somewhere, if you've got a lot of clicks on your website and you're not making any money, if you've got tons of followers on Twitter and Instagram or all these places and it's not doing anything for you but inflating your ego, you can look into affiliate marketing. I mentioned a few other things in here. SEO, okay, so SEO, search engine optimization. That basically means that you're going to search in Google, right? Or Bing or other places that people don't search, but people search in Google mostly, right? So you're going to search in Google and you jump on there and you say, I'm looking for whatever it is. And Google's goal is to give you the best answer, right? Whatever you're looking for, they want to give you the best one. So search engine optimization is to optimize your website to make sure that you are delivering the best answer, or at least, and if you're not delivering it, improve on that so you are delivering the best answer or the best result for somebody. Now, this is something that's important to learn. Well, it's important to learn for a lot of reasons. The number one reason it's important to learn is if you're a small business owner or you are thinking about improving your SEO, you could do a couple things. You could do it way wrong and mess yourself up, cause more damage than help. So that's one. The other is you can pay tons of money because SEO involves writing blog posts and writing things, data behind your website, and there's too many things to name. But anyway, it takes a lot of time to do SEO, which means to get search engine optimization done for your website can cost you a ton of money. If you're going to pay somebody to do SEO for you, be cautious of who you work with, get a referral. Really, this is something that you really, really want to trust who you're giving this money to, because it's a long-term investment. SEO is not somebody, I'm going to get you #1 on Google in a few weeks. Maybe they might know a trick that works right now, but it's more than likely temporary. Just like if you see some sort of diet pill that says you take this and then you're going to lose 20 pounds in 2 weeks, it might do that, but you will have that 20 pounds back, in just a few months, right? So if you've done that, that's what you could do with SEO, but it can go way worse because it's not a $20 diet pill. It could be a $10,000 bill that you spend to somebody and they didn't do much at all. So anyway, it's a dangerous game to play in paying for somebody, so really understand what that is a little bit. If you don't want to be a pro on it, make sure 100% who you're working with know what they're doing. Know the terms that are involved with it so you can test them as well. And I recommend getting referrals. You know somebody that you trust that's used somebody who's gotten success. A few more things, and then I'm going to wrap this up at this point in time. This one, try to just do like a 30-minute deal. But I mentioned domain and URL. URL is www.marketingbigly.com. There you go. That's a URL. Another URL I can send you to would be www.marketingbigly.com/episode2, right? Now, that's different than the domain, marketingbigly.com. That's my domain. Okay, so there's just a difference. It's the full address, it's the full URL. The URL is everything that takes you to a specific spot. The domain is just the actual name of what it is. So it's marketingbigly.com would be my domain, and I will have a ton of URLs within that. If I work with an e-commerce store all day, we've got thousands and probably tens of thousands of URLs. There's so many of them within the store. So next is a landing page. Now, landing pages are really cool to know what they mean, because you have to make a lot of marketing decisions based on the landing page. So a landing page is when you create a piece of marketing content, whatever it is, paid advertising, Facebook ad, Google ad, email, whatever it is. If you are having somebody click and they're going to go to your website, so right, you've paid money, you've worked hard, they click and they're going to launch somewhere. Where they land needs to be awesome, targeted just for that audience, have exactly to do with what you're talking about. When they land there, they know what they see, they know what to do next. They get their answer. They're satisfied with it. They spend money there, they subscribe, whatever your goal is for that landing page. So a landing page is where they're going to end up. And the landing page is really important to A/B test. Okay, optimize is another word. Optimize and landing pages. Landing page optimization is a big thing. You can spend a bunch of money on that, and you can spend a little bit of money on that too. But I'll throw out a few things out there, like unbounce.com and lead pages. Those are two that I've used. There's a ton. So I don't get paid for any of that, but I've used those and they're easy. But anyway, they can help you create a landing page within your website that you can easily optimize, where you can move something, change a video, and then you can run an A/B test on it. You see where it's all kind of coming together with that? So your landing page is the actual page where people are going to go. A landing page will have a specific URL, right? When you use a landing page software like Unbounce or Lead Pages, you can create an A/B test for one URL, right? So marketingbigly.com/landing page test, right? That's not real at this point in time, by the way. So if you go there, you'll get nothing. But if that was my URL, if I'm using a landing page software, I can actually go through and I can move things around. Now, there's actually a bunch of other ways you could do that too that are more sophisticated, but that's one way you can take one URL and you can A/B test, find out which one works better, and boom, you've got a winner. So there's a bunch of cool stuff you can do. I think that's just an exciting thing for me. I love it. I'll probably do a whole podcast just talking about landing page optimization. Well, one of the things I want to talk about here, two things. I'm going to finish something about that has to do with landing pages that I think is just so fun. I wanted to just kind of mention the term trust builders or proofs on landing pages. You see them all the time and don't even realize it if you're not really into marketing. But you go to a page and you see a bunch of little logos on the bottom, or you see a testimonial from a customer, right? Or you see a picture of somebody really liking it. Those are all things designed to make you trust the product that you're about to do. They're designed to make you convert. So when you see all that stuff, when you're building landing pages, it's so important to have trust builders or proofs on there. Those can be logos of companies you've done business with that matter, by the way, but they could be testimonials from customers. They can be a little video of you actually of you doing the work that you do, and people liking it. You know, so I'll do another episode just on some of the psychology behind that stuff. But you've got to have trust builders. You've got to have some of those social proofs on your landing pages. So when you are looking into marketing for yourself, or you're going to pay somebody, you know, you want to ask about what kind of proofs you're going to be using. You know, what kind of how can we, you know, add proofs within the ad, stuff like that. Or so social proofs, trust builders, those are a couple. And then a couple terms that I kind of threw in there for a second just to understand. PPC, pay per click. You're paying every time somebody's clicks. There's also other things you can do within advertising now. It's getting more sophisticated where you can pay per conversion, you know, or you can optimize per conversion. So there's a lot of complicated things within paid advertising. But it's important to understand when you're talking about marketing, whether you're out socially talking about your business and someone says, "Oh, do you do paid PPC? I spend all this money in PPC and make a ton of money." Know what they're talking about. That they're talking about paying to get somebody to click on their website, which is different than SEO, right? SEO creates organic clicks to your website. Organic means somebody searched for it and you didn't pay to get them to click there. And then another one I mentioned was CPM. CPM is typically a cost where you're not paying for somebody to click, but you're paying for your ad to be displayed, right, up on a website or up on Facebook, wherever it is, a million places. So CPM is cost per 1,000, and this is something that it oftentimes can sound so cheap. However, people don't click on a lot of ads that are just randomly displayed everywhere. So CPM needs to be very, very inexpensive because a ton of people will see it. Very few people will even remember it in a minute or click on it. But what I like about CPM is I don't know the full history behind the terminology of why they decided to call it CPM versus CPT. But the only thing I'm going to theorize without actually looking it up, because I like this answer better and I don't want to look it up, is that M makes you think it's cost per million, rather than the Roman numeral M for 1,000 rather than T. But maybe there's a CPT. I've never heard anybody say it, and I've never Googled it. So I'm going with my theory on that. So there you go. There are some definitions that I want you to really just know what they mean. If you know marketing and you listen to all this stuff, hopefully the conversation just energized you to understand more marketing terminology. It's a great little practice you can do is just Google search marketing terms, Google search all the things I said, A/B testing, Google search SEO, PPC, all this stuff. And what's cool about it when you're trying to grow your business and improve your marketing is when you start taking these terms, you know what they mean, or you kind of know what they mean. Once you really know what they mean, then you can find out just who's full of trash and who knows what they're talking about, which is great when if you're going to pay a marketing firm or you've got somebody at a bar, you know, you're drinking and hanging out, and they're just giving you the best advice in the world, right? And you could tell if they actually know what they're talking about. So there's a lot of great reasons to understanding terminology. I think one of the most important things is going back and knowing what words mean, so you don't use them incorrectly, so you don't go for the wrong goals, so you don't waste time, you don't waste money. And when you go on these journeys of looking up what words are, again, like I did for this podcast, you also find a bunch of other cool stuff out there. You'll find more videos on how to do things. You'll find companies that offer services you've never heard of before. You'll find different techniques that are working. Marketing is constantly changing. So redefining your terms is a great practice for somebody brand new, or somebody who knows what they're doing. Redefining them again. Somebody who doesn't know, you really need to understand what things are. As you're a business owner, the knowledge is the power. Knowledge is key. Knowledge is what is going to be able to take you to a new level and kind of get that extra edge. And so many small business owners that fail. So many people who are in marketing that never seem to like get to that next level is because they're not doing all that stuff. They don't take any time to learn and relearn and relearn and read again on what all this stuff means. They don't test things. They don't look at the analytics, at the data. They go by feelings. You know, marketing can be about feelings. It's about the emotions that you're bringing to somebody to get them to come in. But in the end, it's the numbers that matter. So it's this bridge. You know, that's one thing I love about marketing, is that it is a bridge between science and emotions. It's a bridge between what your customers feel and the money that ends up in your pocket. You know, so it's this wonderful bridge, and if you're going to be great at marketing, you have to know how to master that. And I think you have to have an understanding of both. You have to have the understanding of the emotion, and you have to have the understanding of the math and the science. So know your terms. You can listen to this one again if you need to write some of this stuff down. Go on some Google search rabbit holes for some of these terms. Look for a way to improve your website or improve your business to pay for a service that maybe improves one of these things for you. And it does mean it costs a lot of money sometimes too. You know, where I mentioned landing page software is something I find a ton of fun to use. And a lot of that stuff is very inexpensive. So know things, know what I'm saying when I'm talking about the rest of my podcasts. And if you've come back in time to listen to this one because you listened to another podcast and I told you to go back to episode number 3 to listen to the terms, well, thanks for coming back. Thank you for the time travelers who have done that, because as I go into things, I'm going to try to not define as much stuff. I'm just going to kind of go into it, and I expect what you know because you went back to episode 3 or you're listening to this one right now. So thank you for, if you listen live on a Friday night, Marketing Bigly, thank you. For everyone else out there, please, marketingbigly.com, at Marketing Bigly at all your favorite social media places. It's everywhere there. And then marketingbigly@gmail.com is the current email address I'm using. Of course, you can email me there if you want to chat about anything or just leave some comments. YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, Twitter, Instagram, all the cool places. And thanks a lot. Have a great time doing some marketing and learning some stuff. Start getting into the knowledge. Know what you're talking about, and you're going to be a pro. So signing off, Mark Vila. Thank you very much.